Not making enough effort to inform my ex about our son's passing. When I was 28 years old, I discovered I was going to have a baby with my partner, who was also 28. We had been together for 4 years. At first, I wasn't sure if I wanted to have the baby because I was really excited about opportunities at work. But after talking a lot with my partner, we decided to have the baby. When I was about halfway through the pregnancy, around 20 weeks, just after finding out the baby's gender, my partner disappeared. I couldn't reach him at all. He wouldn't answer my calls or messages. I got worried and contacted his mom. She told me he had moved back in with her and was feeling overwhelmed. He kept sending money for bills, but he didn't talk to me. I even went to his mom's house to find him, but he wasn't there. Around 27 weeks into the pregnancy, I gave up trying to contact him. I stopped crying and just focused on preparing to be a single mom. I bought everything the baby would need over the next few weeks and set up the nursery. At 31 weeks, I started feeling pains, but I thought they were just normal. Just before I was 32 weeks pregnant, my water broke, and I went into labor. The baby was born very quickly and had to go to the neonatal intensive care unit, NICU. I tried calling and messaging my ex and his mom, but they didn't respond. Less than a week later, my son passed away because he was born too early and had complications. I tried reaching out to my ex and his mom again, leaving messages, but still got no response. The following weeks felt like a blur. With the support of my parents, we arranged the funeral for our son. Despite their efforts, we couldn't get in touch with my ex or his mother. I kept trying to reach out, but there was no response. I figured they might have blocked me, but by then, I didn't really care. I was devastated. The funeral came and went, a mix of beauty and heartbreak. Afterward, I stopped trying to contact them. I told my family to do the same. I just couldn't handle it anymore. About 5 months after our son was born and passed away, my ex suddenly showed up. He let himself into the apartment. I wasn't there at the time, but when I returned, he was immediately confrontational. It was clear that the place wasn't prepared for a baby. He demanded to see our son. I couldn't hold it together anymore and explained what had happened. I had never seen him so filled with sadness and anger. He stormed out, slamming the door behind him. Within 30 minutes, I received an angry call from my ex's mother, followed by messages from his siblings and other relatives. They were furious that I hadn't informed them about such a serious matter. They accused me of hiding it out of spite. Honestly, I didn't hide anything on purpose. I tried my best to let them know, but I reached a point where I couldn't keep trying. It's been almost 3 weeks of them being cruel to me. During a conversation with my sister over the weekend, she said, to be fair, it was a bit rude not to keep trying. They deserved to know. Was it wrong of me? I did my best to let him know, but I was struggling so much too. I lost my son as well. Am I in the wrong? Should I have done more? Edit. Thank you all for your responses. I apologize for not replying to any. Reading them has been difficult. Honestly, I plan to have a few bottles of wine, read your kind words, and cry myself to sleep. Going through this again by writing it out has been tough. Unfortunately, I can't change the locks. My landlord said no. But my lease ends on June 12th, and I already have a new apartment to move into. Thankfully, my dad has been able to cover the cost of a private therapist, and I have another session scheduled for Tuesday. Story 2. Would I be wrong if I chose to go on vacation instead of attending my brother's wedding? My brother Tom, who is 36 years old, and I, who am 26, haven't had a very strong relationship. Because of our age gap, we didn't spend much time together, and by the time I was old enough to have a personality, he had already moved out. For the past 2 years, my brother and his fiancée, Sarah, who is 32, have been planning their wedding. It's set for September. They asked me to be a bridesmaid. I thought maybe they asked me just to be polite since I'm going to be Sarah's sister-in-law soon, but I took it seriously anyway. I've been a bridesmaid for the past 2 years. Just a few weeks ago, I finally managed to save enough money to buy the $800 bridesmaid dress. Altogether, in the past 2 years, I've spent thousands of dollars on things like group outings, parties, dinners, lunches, clothes, and so on. Over time, all the girls in the wedding and I became really close, and I started to get excited for the wedding. Recently, Sarah became close with her brother's wife, Becky, who is 30. Last week, Sarah told me that she no longer wants me to be a bridesmaid and that she would prefer Becky to take my place. Would I be in the wrong if I decided to go on vacation to Miami instead of attending my brother's wedding? It was tough when Sarah, his fiancée, decided to replace me as a bridesmaid with her friend Becky. I went to pick up the dress I had bought, hoping to return it since it was still within the return period. But Sarah was shocked when I suggested returning the dress, saying Becky would wear it since we were the same size. I said okay, but asked to be reimbursed the $800 for it. Sarah said Becky couldn't afford it and suggested I let her use it for free and keep it afterward. I explained that I couldn't just give away the dress, especially since I wouldn't use it again. After arguing back and forth, I ended up taking the dress and leaving. My brother and Sarah then suggested I could be an assistant flower girl, which felt insulting. When I declined, they offered Becky could give me $250 for it, which I also refused. In the end, I returned the dress and got a full refund. I told them that while I understood it was their wedding, they were being disrespectful, and I didn't want to deal with it. I decided not to attend the wedding. Today, my coworker offered to sell me a half-price plane ticket to Miami, where I could hang out with her for a week. The only catch is, it's during the same week as my brother's wedding. So, would I be wrong if I chose to go party in Miami instead of attending my brother's wedding? Story 3. Am I wrong for telling my son he can't stay with me after finding out why his wife kicked him out? I don't think I'm wrong. My daughter-in-law is pregnant with my first grandchild, but she's having some health issues with her pregnancy. It's dangerous for her to have sex because of a condition called placenta previa. But despite this, my son decided to cheat on her. She found out and rightfully kicked him out of their house. He came to stay with us, saying she was just being overly emotional because of her pregnancy. Whenever he called her, they would argue. After a few days, we suggested he go back and see if things calmed down. Her mom was there with her, so we weren't too worried. But when my wife called to check on her, she told us what really happened. I was furious. When my son came home from work, I told him he needed to leave. I didn't want to be around him right now, and I didn't want him in my house. My wife thinks I'm being too harsh. She says I should give them a chance to sort things out. But I can't even stand to look at him. I don't want someone so foolish in my home. My wife and I are still arguing about it, but I'm sticking to my decision. Story 4. Am I wrong for not including my sister-in-law in photos during my bachelorette party because she wore white? I'm getting married, which is super exciting. My brother John asked me to make his girlfriend Sarah a bridesmaid. He wants her to feel more connected to our family because he's planning to propose to her soon. I wasn't thrilled about it because Sarah can be a bit snobby. She once made fun of me for shopping at a big box store instead of a fancier place. But I love my brother, so I agreed to include her. Here's the problem. On the last night of my bachelorette party, we planned to have a fancy dinner that we all saved up for. Sarah said she had an emergency work meeting and told us to go ahead without her, even though the restaurant was close to our hotel. Guys, when Sarah showed up, I was shocked. She was wearing a white, sparkly dress with sequins and a tulle skirt topped off with a tiara. When we planned the trip, my maid of honor, MOH, had made it very clear that everyone should wear pink so we could take a cute photo together at the restaurant. I'm not kidding. Her outfit looked so much like a wedding dress that the waitress thought we were having a joint bachelorette party. I was really upset. So when it was time for photos, I refused to have Sarah in them. She claimed she didn't know about the dress code, but I told her it's just common sense not to wear something that looks like a wedding dress to someone else's bachelorette party. Plus, she was in the group chat where we discussed outfits, and she even made comments about someone else's outfit, so I know she knew. All my friends supported me and made sure Sarah didn't get in the photos. But when we got back, she complained to my brother, saying we bullied her at my party and left her out on purpose. She was mad because a lot of people noticed she wasn't in the photos, and I didn't hesitate to explain why. Now my brother's really upset because she's been crying and complaining nonstop. They're so mad that they're even skipping Father's Day brunch, making the situation worse. I'm starting to feel guilty because my mom told me they're fighting a lot now. I'm not sure if I'm being unreasonable here. My brother called me a bridezilla, but I feel like Sarah was trying to ruin my night.